I'm Savita, your bio teacher. In today's class, we're going to start with a topic called reproductive health from second PUC topic. Now, before we start, as usual, please get your NCERT textbook, a highlighter pen, and a notebook to take down important points. Now, in this topic, if you check the number of questions which has been appearing from past few years, let us say NEET. Minimum, you will have 2 questions, maximum 3 questions. Now with this, let us just revise the whole topic within a short period of time. So let's start. So keep your topic open. The topic is reproductive health. Now, the topic ends with the word which is known as health, which we also came across one more topic of second PUC, human health and disease. So that means the definition of health was coined by World Health Organization. One small extra information which I have got for you is, it is specialized agency of United Nations representing public health. Where is the headquarters located? Geneva in Switzerland. Okay. Now let us look into the definition, what it says. Now when we say health of a person, it should be physical, emotional, behavioral and social well-being of a person. We include the word reproductive health, then therefore a society with people having physically and functionally normal reproductive organs and normal emotion and behavioral interaction among them in all sex-related aspects might be called as reproductive health. So this is the definition which is given in your NCERT textbook. Now, I have actually taken the pictures of your NCERT textbook and placed it so that when I am referring to those sentences, it becomes much easier for you to follow what are the important points. Now, the first part of this topic includes problems and strategies. I know this part is quite boring. Majority of us don't feel comfortable to read it because it's boring. So I want you to just take your time, understand the concept, because you may have statement-based question this time. Okay. Now let's see what are the points which is very important. Okay. The first point. India was first amongst the countries in the world to initiate action plans and programs at national level to attain total reproductive health has a social goal. So if you check where in India, it's in our Karnataka, in Mysore, this was initiated. Next, these programs were called with a name which is known as family planning, and definitely if you have gone across the previous paper, this question would have arisen, that is, which was the year it was initiated, 1951. And definitely there's a symbol for it. That symbol is an inverted red triangle. So make sure you remember this. Now, what next we came across? In the next page of NCERT, you will come across improved programs covering wider reproduction related areas are currently in operation under a popular name. The first short form is RCH. So, Reproductive Child Healthcare Programs. So, I hope you understood. Next. Now, why is these kind of programs and strategies should be planned? So, let us go into some of the points. The first point says to reduce the number of early marriages and teen pregnancy. Okay. So early marriages. So we know that we have put certain acts in order to, avoid what is known as child marriage, and the marriageable age groups comes between girls 18 and boys 21. Next, better understanding of sexually transmitted diseases. What are the different types of disease? How can we cure it? When we have to consult and what medication can be given? All those plays a very important role for maintaining a reproductive health. Next, to have an in-depth knowledge of family planning and contraception, how to avoid pregnancies. All those concepts are included in this particular reproductive health. Next, to decline maternal mortality rate. So after the delivery of the child, the next 24 hours, we need to have infrastructure so good that mother's health should be healthier. So her blood pressure is being noticed and there will be shedding up of endometrium wall. So uterine bleeding will be taking place. All that should be checked, means the scientific technology as the improvements occur, it should be incorporated. Next, to have better mental and emotional health. So, if a person has a disorder, sexually transmitted disease, and the person is feeling, a social stigma, like they don't want to tell anyone, but what are the consequences of it? All that will be taught to a person with reproductive health. Lastly, to achieve healthy, safety pregnancy and abortion. If an abortion has to be done, what are the laws under it? When it has to be done, all that is covered about sexual and reproductive health. That's why all these strategies and planning methodologies are given. Successful implementation of various action plans to attain reproductive health requires. What are those? I told you statement-based questions are possible in your examination. For that purpose, you need to go through. Strong infrastructural facilities. I already told, after the birth of the child or any scientific improvements have been done, that should be implemented, so that we reduce the death of the mother or the newborn babies. Now in this, we require professional expertise, the person who can guide, maybe in a family background there is genetic disorder and the couples are worried about whether the genetic disorder can be seen with respect to their children in future. So how to overcome that? So they can go for counseling. Next, these are essential to provide medical assistance and care to people in reproductive related problems. For example, there is a word which is given as pregnancy. I hope you people have heard about what is known as ectopic pregnancy. The blastocysts should get implanted to the endometrium wall of the uterus. But accidentally, let us say, it got implanted in the fallopian tube or the ovary. It is called as ectopic pregnancy. When delivery occurs, how the baby is delivered, do we have the instrumentation to perform the childbirth? Next, abortion, I already told. What are the different types of contraception? Menstrual cycle problems. Some individuals can suffer from irregular menstrual cycle because of hormonal imbalance. All that will be checked. And infertility. If couples are unable to have kids, how to find out all those particular problems and what is meant by test tube baby techniques, all will be covered with respect to infertility. Okay, next, implementation of better techniques. What all I told you, all that is included. New strategies from time to time are also required to provide more efficient care and assistance to people. So all these points are given as you see your textbook. I hope it is clear for you here. Next, we'll go to the direct important question, and many times we have come across a lot of MCQ related to what is amniocentesis. Now let us understand what is amniocentesis. A baby which is going to grow inside the mother's womb is present in a bag which is called as amniotic bag or amniotic sac, which is filled with a fluid called amniotic fluid. Now, if you see this particular picture, you can see that a needle is injected into the sac and the fluid called amniotic fluid is drawn out. So those particular baby cells or the fluid contains baby cell. Now the fluid will be transferred into a culture plate so that the cells can multiply or the cells are observed under the microscope. Now what do we observe in the cell? The number of chromosomes. So amniocentesis was a technique designed to find out different types of genetic disorder by studying the chromosome structure and number. Because if there is major problem, whether to abort the child, what is the complication involved in it is also being studied here. So you did come across different types of genetic disorder under genetics topic where we came across a word which is known as aneuploid, which says addition or deletion of a chromosome. Whether we add an extra chromosome or delete a chromosome, it ends up with syndrome. For example, Down syndrome occurred because of 21st trisomy. You have a lot of examples as such. So, the sentence of your textbook, during pregnancy, the fetus grows inside amniotic sac. Amniotic fluid surrounds and protects the fetus inside the amniotic sac. It also contains some fetus cells. These cells contain genetic information that helps to diagnose genetic condition. As I told you, more than 1,500 genetic disorders, even neurological disorders can be detected. Now, the word is karyotype, and you have an image and you see the 23 pairs of chromosome given in the picture. So, if a definition is asked, what is meant by karyotype? A karyotype is an individual's complete set of chromosomes. Definitely, it will not come for your exam, but I want you to know what exactly is done with respect to amniocentesis. The term also refers to laboratory production of image of a person's chromosome isolated from an individual cell and arranged in numerical order. Now, when we look into the bar bodies, we can identify what is the problem, what is the problem. But when I use the word bar body, it actually can say the sex of the individual, So, 2x condition, you know that the baby is going to be a female. 1x and 1y condition says that it is a male baby. So now, instead of using this amniocentesis for what? For knowing abnormalities of the chromosome or its number or structure, we started to misuse it, and that misuse started to kill the girl babies. Female feticide started to increase. So thereby, what happened? There was a ban which was put on amniocentesis. So it was banned in India around 1994. Maybe this year is not there. I've just given you the year. Under Preconception and Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques Act. A person who has to do this particular procedure under the Act is not supposed to say the sex of the child by words, by action, or by any means. That is a rule which is put under this Act. But the problem is what? They try to tell the sex of the child, and if it is going to be a female baby, it is aborted. So it increased what is called as female feticide. That's why amniocentesis was banned. So the sentence is present in your NCERT textbook. Let me just highlight that. For sex determination to legally check the increased menace of female feticide. So this is the point. Followed with that, what else the strategies were built up under that? Massive child immunization. Now, when a baby is born, they are also given with respect to a card which contains when a vaccination should be done so that the baby's immune system can be promoted. All that comes under what is called as reproductive health and strategy framing. Next, the same point, whatever I explained, but the point that we have to highlight here is this procedure is used to test for the presence of certain genetic disorders, Down syndrome, hemophilia, sickle cell, anemia, etc. So all these disorders we are going to study in detail when we get into the topic of genetics. Next, Saheli. Now, the word Saheli says friend, the last part of this particular page in your textbook. A friendly drug which was designed for females, which is said to be a contraceptive drug. Now, what is the speciality of Saheli? The word told friend because contraceptive drugs contain steroids, but this is a drug which is designed and it is said to be non-steroidal drug. So, it is a non-steroidal oral contraceptive, a pill which is taken. And Saheli, a new oral contraceptive for female, was developed by the scientists of Central Drug Research Institute, CDRI, in Lucknow, in India. So they will ask you this particular point, who developed Saheli? And one more point comes as we go into the topic, which I've included here itself. There may be a question which may say, when is this particular Saheli consumed, or what days it has to be consumed. But we call this particular drug as once a week pill. Okay. So Saheli, the new oral contraceptive for females, contain non-steroidal preparation. It is once a week pill with very few side effects and very importantly, high contraceptive value. Okay, I hope you understood. This is the second short term which is coming across this particular topic. Don't get confused with what is called CSIR. So I have given the full form of CSIR here, Council of Scientific and Industrial Research in India. So I hope this particular point is clear for you. Okay. So now followed with this, there's one question which is given that says, when do we say the society is improved with reproductive health? What makes us to say our society is improved? Now let us see the points under it. Better awareness about sex-related matters. So even in school, we tend to give sex education, which is very important nowadays. Next, increased number of medically assisted deliveries, postnatal care for the mother, to decrease maternal and care for the infant so that infant mortality rate is reduced, increased number of couples with small families, better detection and cure for sexually transmitted diseases, and increased medical facilities for all sex-related problems are covered. Okay, so I hope you understood all the 6 points which is already present in your textbook. Now, with this, we come across population stabilization and birth control. So, we need to have a check on population because we have to satisfy the needs of growing population. If population explosion is going to occur, then the basic requirement like food, shelter, and medicinal facilities may not be sufficient. Now let us see what is given in your textbook. There's one important page with lot number of numbers there. So you need to remember all these particular numericals. In the last century, around the development of various fields significantly improved the quality of life of the people. However, increased health facilities along with better living condition had an explosive impact with the growth of population. The world population, which was around 2 billion in 1900, rocked to about 6 billion by 2000. Do you know what is the present? 8.1 billion according to today's information. Okay. A similar trend was observed in India too. Our population, which was approximately 350 million at the time of our independence, has reached close to a billion, marked by 2000. Okay, now what is our present population? 1.43 billion. So we take the first rank, even China has gone down. So world population increase, if it occurs in such a rate, obviously the basic requirements cannot be fulfilled. So next, a rapid decline. What is the cause for this population explosion? If they ask you the question, a rapid decline in the death rate, maternal mortality, MMR, infant mortality, IMR, as well as an increase in number of people of what age? Reproducible age are probable reasons for this. Now, I want you to make sure you go through all these particular points. Again, statement-based question can appear in your exam. Next, through our reproductive child healthcare program, though we could bring down the population growth rate, it was only marginal. According to 2011 census, the report of population growth was less than what percent? 2%. Make sure you remember it. Next, see the last sentence. Such an alarming growth rate would lead to an absolute scarcity of even basic requirement. I already told you what were there: food, shelter, clothing, and all the other things which is required for our day-to-day activities. Now, when we speak about this, are we spreading awareness about it? Yes. When? We shall see. Before that, let me just come across these sentences also. Most important step to overcome the population problem: is to motivate to have what? Smaller families. Now, motivating people to have, better to have what is called as smaller families. Now, in this, you will come across a slogan which says, Hum do, hamare do. Okay? So, two kids in a family. So, now it is also saying here that if a marriage has to happen, there is a rule set up. Okay? That rule says a female should have attained 18 years and a male individual 21 years. It's very clearly mentioned. Okay. Followed with that, this can also help us to completely stop what is called as child marriage. That act was passed in the year 2006. Okay. Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006. Now, World Population Day, 11th July, is the day where we spread awareness what is happening to the present population. So please do remember when is that particular day. And next, the word is demography. So you have a topic which is called organism and population. In that you will again study about population. But the study of human population is known as what? Demography. Demography is a vital discipline that deals with statistical study of human population, and the term itself originates from Greek word. Demos means people and graphy means measurement. So I hope you understood till here. Now, followed with that, we are going to go into the next part of the topic, which says contraceptive methods. So when we go to the topic of contraceptive methods, they will ask you what are the characteristics of ideal contraceptives. Now let us see what are the ideal contraceptive. Users friendly. A person who takes a contraceptive should understand how it can be used. So it will be definitely easy. Everyone can understand that. It should be easily available in the market. Next, effective, reversible, especially it should have no or less side effects. It should also no way interfere with the sexual drive. So, hormones which is being produced during the sexual drive should not be altered. So, using of this particular contraceptive methods or the means which comes under the topic should not interfere with sexual drive, desire or sexual act of the users. Okay, so I hope you are clear with the concept till here. So let's see what's next one. What are the examples contraceptive methods are giving us? Let us go into that. A wide range of contraceptive methods are presently available, which can be broadly classified into following categories: natural and traditional, barrier, IUDs, oral contraceptives, injectables, implants, and surgical methods are the different contraceptive methods. Now, in this, we are going to study each of it in detail, step by step. So, you have the image of contraceptive method. Male condom, the word Nirod comes in your textbook. Female condoms, diaphragm, cervical caps, and I think with spermicide it comes. I forgot one more thing. Let me just check while explaining. Spermicides are added along with this. Sponge is not there. Okay. Diaphragm, cervical, caps and walls, what is mentioned in our NCERT. Sponge refers to just like a sponge which contains spermicide, which is introduced into the female reproductive tract near the cervix. It will kill the sperm when the semen is being discharged. Followed with that, diaphragm, copper T, sterilization technique, natural family planning, withdrawal method. All these we are going to study in detail because your questions can arise from that. So let us start with natural methods. Now, under natural methods, the first method is called as calendar method. So this calendar method is followed by females because we try to check when is the date of ova being released, the ovulation phase. For 28-day cycle, we have studied it occurs exactly on 14th day. Now, let us understand what exactly our textbook says. Natural method works on a principle of avoiding chances of ovum and the sperm meeting. Only if a ova and the sperm meets, the act is called fertilization. So, we are saying, let us stop that. So, ova and sperm should not meet. Periodic abstinence is one such method in which the couples avoid or abstain from coitus. Sexual act has stopped, and which is the date he is referring to? 10 to 17. Now, please remember 10 to 17 means he says 14th day is when ovulation is going to occur. Accidentally, let us say the ovulation occurred a day before that. If it occurs also, the ova has a viability of 24 hours. A sperm has a viability of 48 hours. Okay. Now, of menstrual cycle, when ovulation could be expected, as the chances of fertilization are very highly during this period. So this period is called as fertile period. So copulation should not take place during a phase called as what? Fertile period. Therefore, by abstaining from coitus during this period, conception could be prevented. So let me make it easy for you to understand. I have made a chart which says the number of days in a month, and I have just mentioned day 1 to day 5. Menstrual cycle phase where bleeding phase is going to occur. After the bleeding phase has been completed, only then FSH and LH hormone will be released. Due to FSH, the follicular cells start to grow. Now, as they grow, this phase in the initial till 9 days is considered to be a safe period. If coitus occurs also, ova is still not grown completely to undergo a process called ovulation. But after the day 10 to the day 17, I've just added 2 more days extra, ovulation can take place. So it is called as what? Unsafe period, where semen should not be discharged into the female reproductive tract. So it is called as unsafe period because it is clearly mentioned it is the fertile period. Followed with that, I have just said safe period because the ova is unhealthy, it gets degenerated. So I hope you understood what is called as natural method, under which the first one we studied was periodic abstinence. Okay. Now with this, let us move on to the second one. The second one says withdrawal or coitus interrupt. Now, insemination refers to discharge of semen into the female reproductive tract. So, during the act of copulation, the ejection of semen is being stopped. That is what is called as withdrawal or coitus interrupts. Is another method in which the male partner withdraws his penis from the vagina just before ejaculation, so as to avoid a process called insemination, the second step. So I hope you're clear with the concept till here. Now comes lactational amenorrhea. Lactational amenorrhea is a third step which is also under natural method. Intensely lactating mothers will never have menstrual cycle. That's why it is known as lactational amenorrhea. So after the child is delivered, the mother's mammary glands start producing milk by the action of a hormone which is called as prolactin. So anterior pituitary releases prolactin. So this prolactin, what did it do? Okay, prolactin is going to inhibit the release of a hormone which is known as what? FSH. If FSH is not being released, obviously the follicular cells do not grow. Then follicular cells do not grow means you don't have a Graafian follicle. So if Graafian follicle is fully not formed, ovulation does not occur. But this particular act or the phase is only for 6 months. Now let us understand by reading this NCERT sentence. Lactational amenorrhea, absence of menstruation, method is based on the fact that ovulation and therefore the cycle do not occur during the period of intense lactation. Now there are certain terms that we have to really know here. Following parturition. Therefore, as long as the mother breastfeeds the child fully. Now let us say the mother is not breastfeeding the child. What will happen then? Then menstrual cycle can occur. If menstrual cycle occurs and then she starts feeding, will menstrual cycle stop? No. After that, she will regularly have a menstrual cycle. So she should be breastfeeding the child, emptying the mammary glands, then the chances of conception are almost nil. But however, this method has been reported to be effective only up to the maximum period of how many months? 6 months following parturition. Has no medicine, now again highlighting, has no medicine or devices are used in these methods, what all we studied. Side effects is almost nil. Chances of failure, though, of this method is also high. So this method is not going to use any medicine or any kind of devices. So it is a natural method. But he says the method, okay, but chances of failure, though, of this method is also high. So please remember all the points. We completed what is called as natural methods. Now, followed with natural methods, there's something called barrier. So we're going to set a barrier. A sperm and ova should not meet. So that method is called barrier method here. But let us understand what is it. Now, under barrier method of contraception, it is reversible, used to prevent pregnancy. It can be chemical or it can be mechanical. So in this cartoon image, there's a wall saying that a sperm is unable to meet the ova. So that's called barrier method. Now, in our textbook sentence, you have to check even the diagram, understand how the diagram is given. Because when you see the image of female condom, you will see two ring-like structure. So that only image, the image will be given to you and they will ask you this image represents what. Then you need to know which is a male condom, which is a female condom. Okay, now let us see. A barrier method, ovum and sperm are prevented from physical meeting with the help of barriers. Such methods are available for whom? Males also, females also. Condoms are barriers of thin rubber latex sheath. So what they are made up of can also be a question. It is rubber latex sheath which is used to cover the penis in the male or vagina and the cervix of the female just before coitus so that the ejaculated semen would not enter into the female reproductive tract. So here I already mentioned the word which is called as what? Nirod. So this becomes one important term. Please highlight it. It is a popular brand of condom for whom? For male. So make sure you make a note of this point. Next, use of condom has increased in recent years due to additional benefit protecting the users from contracting, see the short form, sexually transmitted infections, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, but both male and female condoms are disposable, can be self-inserted, thereby gives privacy to the users. So I hope we covered all the important points, but there is something important that we have to make a note here. Check out females, diaphragm, cervical caps and vaults. Where they are placed? They are placed in the cervix. Definitely it is going to avoid the sperm meeting the ova. But the question is, did it protect the female from sexually transmitted infection? No, because the semen is still discharged in the vagina. We never allowed the semen to enter into the cervix part. So here she is sure to suffer from what? Sexually transmitted infection. So thereby, a condom when it is on a penis, then only it can be prevented. Now, if you check this diaphragm and cervical caps and all, it can be reused after it is completely washed and sterilized. Okay, are also barriers made up of what? Rubber that is inserted into the female reproductive tract. See here, to cover the cervix. He doesn't use a word which is called as vagina, cervix. During coitus, they prevent conception by blocking the entry of the sperm through the cervix. And check out this point. They are reusable. Male condoms are not reusable because ejaculation occurs in it. Once used, should be thrown. But female condoms can be reused. Okay. Now, whatever we mentioned here, diaphragm, cervical caps, warts, they also may contain what? Spermicide creams in it or gels in it, which has the efficiency to kill the sperm. For example, I gave an example of sponge, right? It's something like that. Forms which are usually used along with these barriers to increase their contraceptive efficiency. I hope the whole concept is clear here. You can actually make multiple questions from this particular paragraph. Okay, so now let's go across the next part. Intrauterine devices, IUDs. So definitely males cannot use it. It is the females who are going to use this. Now let us understand what are they. Okay, so let's start what is given in our NCERT textbook. These devices are inserted by whom? Doctors, not by the individuals, okay, by doctors or expert nurses in which region? Uterus. So make a note of it. How? Through vagina. The intrauterine devices are presently available as two types. Non-medicated IUDs, example Lippes loop. Copper releasing IUDs, three examples are there. Many times this question has come to us which says copper T, copper 7, yes, it looks like name of a gun, multi-loaded 375, and hormone releasing IUDs such as progestostat and LNG20. Stick on to your NCERT, you need not know anything extra. Okay. Now let us understand step by step. The first image which is now appeared on your screen is Lippes loop. Now this particular Lippes loop was used during the time period of 1960s to that of 1980s. Now if you ask me, have we stopped using it? Yes. See, this has been placed into the female, has uterus. And what did it do? It actually initiated phagocytosis. Now always remember, anything which does not belongs to your body will be considered as what? A foreign particle. If a foreign particle enters inside of a system, then our system has the ability to produce antibodies. Now these antibodies are going to give protection. And sperm is also a foreign particle which is not a part of female system. When the phagocytic cells are going to increase in the region where intrauterine devices are present, obviously they are going to engulf the foreign particle. Now let's see the next image. Now in the next image, you have intrauterine device. One is hormone releasing and the other one is copper T. Don't forget copper T is of three different types. Now as it is being placed, I told you there will be inflammation. First let us understand about copper T, then we shall speak about what is known as hormone releasing. IUDs increase phagocytosis of sperm. First I told, any foreign particle is placed inside the body, definitely your WBCs in that region are going to be high. So once they are high, if the sperm comes in contact, definitely phagocytes are going to consume them within the uterus. Next, copper present in copper IUDs are actually toxic to sperm. Okay, our copper ions released suppress the motility. Now, ova has a viability, right? Within that viable time, a sperm has to go and meet the ova. If not, chances of fertilization is very, very less. So what is this particular copper ions doing? Reducing the motility of the sperm. And fertilizing capacity of the sperm is also reduced. That's why they use copper ions. Next, hormonal releasing IUDs in addition make the uterus unsuitable for implantation. So this hormone releasing IUDs will contain synthetic progesterone. Progestogen or progestin is being used. Okay. They make the cervix hostile for the sperm. So cervix is not favorable for the sperm. So the sperm is not comfortable at all. Followed with that, IUDs are ideal contraceptives for females who wants to delay pregnancy or space the child. So is it irreversible? Yes, it is. Okay. Now I hope the whole thing is clear for you. Next, it is one of the most widely used method of contraception in India. This itself will be your question. Name one method which is being widely used, then you will say it is intrauterine device. So with this, let's see what else we have. Next, oral administration, meaning a female takes the pill. Again, it is for female. So if you check from the starting, we mentioned only condoms for male individual. After that, female condoms came. Then we studied lactational amenorrhea. We did come across what is known as under natural method. What was the other things that we have come across? So soon I just forgot the concept. I think we studied a sperm calendar method. Again, it is said to be female. So make a note, apart from condom, rest all is said to be females itself. So here, oral administration. Now, what is this oral administration referring to? A female is going to consume tablet every day, but there's a time phase. I'm going to talk about it. Now, that particular pill is made up of what? A combination of estrogen and progesterone, or you have the mixed pill. So you see an image here, which is of different color, and this is of different color, and it also says, start from here, go all the way like this, and start consuming the pill. Now let us read the NCERT to understand it much more better. Oral administration of small doses, see the hormone, progestogens or progestogen estrone. So either the pill contains progesterone or it is a combination pill, as I have told you here. It is progestogen and estrogen. Now, what is the point that we have to remember? A female who has to conceive, that we studied in human reproduction, progesterone hormone should be present throughout her gestation phase. If it is going to decline, abortion is going to occur. Or when we studied menstrual cycle is going to be initiated, name the hormone responsible for it. Decline in progesterone and decline in estrogen initiated menstrual cycle. Now what are we doing? Contraceptive methods, we are using estrogen and progesterone. Maintaining pregnancy, estrogen and progesterone. Progesterone plays a main role. Next, combination contraceptive methods are used by females. Again, females, they are used in the form of tablets and hence are popularly called pills. You take it in the form of tablets, so it is called as what? Pills. Next, pills have to be taken daily for a period of how many days? 21 days. Don't forget, it contains estrogen and progesterone. Definitely that means the endometrium wall is growing. Okay. Starting preferably within the first 5 days of menstrual cycle. So, after the bleeding phase has been completed, after the first 5 days, a female starts in taking this particular tablet and stops and gives a break. So, her menstrual cycle once again occurs. After a gap of 7 days during which menstruation occurs, it has to be repeated in the same pattern till the female desires to prevent conception. Now, endometrium wall was growing because of the same hormone progesterone and estrogen. But what is the point here? They inhibit what? Estrogen and progesterone inhibited what? Ovulation. Now let us say by chance, if ovulation occurred, okay. Implantation is also prevented because the internal lining has been inflamed as well as alter the quality of cervical mucus. If cervical mucus is going to be super thick, sperm cannot swim easily and retard the entry of the sperm. Pills are effective with less side effects and are well accepted by the females. Now remember, starting off the topic, I told you a friendly drug which is called as Saheli, which is taken once a week and it is a non-steroidal drug. If you ask me about what are the example of steroidal drug, you can come across Mala D and Mala N. Now these two drugs contains what is called as steroidal preparation. Now followed with that, there is morning pill. The morning pill is also called as immediate pill, which again stops what is called as ovulation or implantation. Okay. Now with this, I have a chart for you so that you can understand the concept. This chart is from the previous topic, which is called as human reproduction. In order to highlight certain points, I just put this chart here because we are talking about progesterone and estrogen. Now, I want you to just concentrate on anterior pituitary hormone. So, in this part, anterior pituitary hormone, you come across two hormones. This green line refers to FSH and the blue line refers to LH. So obviously for the growth of follicle, we require both of this hormone. Now, as you see, the growing follicle, finally you have Graafian follicle, which brings about ovulation. Ovulation, the ovum is released and this transformed into an yellow color structure, which is known as corpus luteum, which increases the level of progesterone and comparatively more progesterone and estrogen. Now, please observe here. In this phase, when progesterone and estrogen is quite high, there will be no growth of the follicle. What did we study? Ovary, each ovary can release one ova. So in a year, one ovary can release only 6 because they are going to alternate. So the hormones which is used in contraceptive pill, when progesterone and estrogen is going to be increased, in one manner, the follicles which are growing will be stopped. So thereby, it stops what is called as ovulation. I hope you understood that concept. Next, you have implants. When I say implants, the implants are those kind of structures which is placed inside the skin, just beneath the skin. So let us understand that particular concept. Now again, the word is progestogen alone or combination of estrogen can be used by females in the form of injections. So they go to the hospital, take this particular injection. Depo-Provera is an injection which is given, and this particular injection releases this hormone in a slow rate that stops what is called as ovulation. Next, implants are under the skin. Now, implants, if you see this image, I have given you a matchstick size and they are going to implant it like this, and it is going to release what? Progestogen and estrogen. Check. Their mode of action is similar to that of pills and their effective periods are much longer. Administration of progestogen and progesterone estrogen combination within 72 hours. I spoke about what is called as morning pills, right? It should be taken 72 hours. Now, it is better to be taken in 48 hours because maximum time span 72 hours. If the effectiveness should be really good, it is 48 hours and 24 hours is best. So viability of ova, 24 hours. Viability of the sperm is 48 hours, but a sperm can survive for 72 hours. So that's what is calculated here. Coitus have been found to be very effective as emergency contraceptive pill. So that tiny little pill which is taken as an emergency contraceptive pill, because it has this particular hormone, side effects are also going to be quite high. They could be used to avoid possible pregnancy due to rape or casual unprotected intercourse. So I hope you people are clear with the concept here. And followed with this, we will be starting sterilization, non-reversible method, both in male and female. And usually when a question comes, usually in that hurry or tension, whatever it is, you may mark it really wrong. So make sure you read the question properly and understand the concept. We're starting with method which is called surgical method, otherwise known as sterilization. And see the word, it is tubectomy. Now when I'm talking about a tube, I'm talking about what? Oviduct. So when I talk about oviduct, this is a sterilization method which is done for whom? Females. Now let us understand observing this particular image. Now, you see the structure which is known as the fallopian tube. Okay. So what do is, we know exactly where the fallopian tubes are located. Then we are going to cut a part of it. Let us say we cut a part of it. You can see this particular image, tube with a plastic band, you can see here. Finally, it is cut and you can see the end, it has been knotted. Now, when we tend to do this, now we will come back to the initial process which we studied earlier. From the ovary, the ova which is released during ovulation is picked up by the finger-like projection which is called as fimbriae. The cilia which were present in the fallopian tube, because ova cannot move, right? It is non-motile, is pushing this particular ovum to the region which is called as ampulla, where fertilization is going to occur. So I'm very clearly telling ovulation did occur. But what did we do? We cut. Now, let us say the ova is present here. Ovum is present here. If a sperm is released and there is a cut, a sperm and ova cannot meet at all. That's what sterilization of tubectomy does. Now, you may ask question, What will happen if this particular procedure is done? Whether menstrual cycle is going to continue. So this technique has nothing to do with menstrual cycle because you know the walls of the uterus. Obviously, endometrium wall is growing and regular menstrual cycle is going to happen. So ovulation does occur, menstrual cycle does occur. Only thing is sperm and ova is not going to meet here. So I hope the points are clear. Now we'll understand what is meant by tubectomy. I finished tubectomy, it's vasectomy. Vasectomy refers to male sterilization. How to remember it? We came across the secondary reproductive organ which is involved in transportation of gametes in male, which is known as vas deferens. So, we identify where exactly this vas deferens is present and make a small incision. We take the vas deferens and cut the ends and we tend to knot it. So, when we do this, the sperm which is being produced by a process called as spermatogenesis are trapped within the testis. Now, if you ask me what will happen to those particular sperms, definitely phagocytic cells will come and consume that particular sperm. Production of sperm continues. But what happened? Vas deferens is cut off. So, when we check into semen, there will be no sperms in it. Azoospermia is the condition. So in semen, there is no presence of sperm because the person has undergone what is called as vasectomy. There are other conditions, but I'm just using the word azoospermia because the semen is not containing a sperm because vas deferens was cut and tied. So thereby, pregnancy doesn't occur in this case. So both of this particular method, please understand, after condom, we are coming across what is called as vasectomy in case of male. Now we finished the topic and you have the sentences which is present in NCERT. Please check. See, the first half is the same thing whatever I told. Surgical intervention blocks the gamete transports and thereby prevents contraception. Sterilization procedure in male is called vasectomy. In female, it is called tubectomy. In vasectomy, a small portion of vas deferens is removed and tied up through a small incision made in the sac which is called as scrotum. Whereas in tubectomy, a small part of the fallopian tube is removed and tied up through a small incision in the abdomen through the vagina. This technique are highly effective, but their reversibility is very poor. Now please understand. Why am I reading this particular textbook for you? Because I told you, if you have to score very good marks, you need to go through your NCERT itself. So, please read your NCERT as many times. Minimum 7 times, please read it. Now, all this point is fine, but I'll directly take you to the important sentence. I just want you to check. Where is it? No doubt the widespread of use of these methods have a significant role in checking uncontrolled growth of population. However, there's a word, however, there are possibility of what? Ill effects like nausea, abdominal pain, breakthrough, bleeding, irregular menstrual bleeding, even breast cancer, though not very significant, should not be totally ignored. So make sure you go through that particular sentence. Are there any side effects? Means yes, you are going to talk about this part. So hope this content is clear for you because we will be starting with medical termination of pregnancy. So are you ready? Let me continue. Okay. The same image which is present towards one side of your textbook. Along with that, let me add this. MTP. Medical Termination Act, which was passed in 1971. Okay, so there was some changes which was made in the year 2017. Stick on to NCERT even though there's a year which is again changed, 2020. Your NCERT textbook gave 2017. Please make a note of it. Now, why we should do MTP? Now, please understand there are certain cases. I will read and actually explain you along with it. See the present law and changed. First they told contraceptive failure only applies to married women. Now, you know that in young stage, when a rape occurs or any stage rape occurs, now this has become one of the worst thing which happens around the world. Okay, so if rape occurs, the female is not ready to have a child, and the child start growing inside her womb, and she is emotionally upset, physically not ready. So thereby, we can do this particular method of aborting the child. Apart from that, let us say mother's health is not good. So she is mentally affected, or she has any other problem, or the child which is growing inside the mother's womb is unwell, has a major genetic disorder, or it may be failure of one of the contraceptive method is making a person to do what is called as MT. So it says the gestation age limit was 20 weeks, and later it was changed to 24 weeks for rape survivors. Beyond 24 weeks, the abstainal fetal abnormalities. After that, okay, medicinal practitioner, options required. So please understand the same sentence is given here. See here in this point, I don't know whether it is clear, this particular page. Now I'll just read. 1 RMP till 12 weeks, 2 RMPs till 20 weeks. That is the sentence which is clearly given. I will just highlight it. Please cross check it with your NCERT if this particular sentences are not that clear. See, according to this act, a pregnancy may be terminated under certain consideration grounds within first 12 weeks of pregnancy on the opinion of one registered medical practitioner if the pregnancy has lasted for more than 12 weeks but fewer than 24 weeks. 2 registered medical practitioners must be the option formed for good faith. So that's what is given. So initially there was a fine, okay, if what? It breaches the woman's, confidential part. You're not supposed to say this. If it was done, it was fined for 1,000 rupees, but it was changed a fine, and as well as the person will be put in jail for an year. So make sure you just go through this part because you have your MCQs coming, especially in this part. Okay, and do check the grounds of such termination of pregnancy, what I explained earlier. So the continuation of pregnancy would involve the risk of life of the pregnant woman or a grave injury for physical and mental health. There is an abstainal risk that the child were born would suffer from a severe physical mental abnormality. In that particular case, MTPs are done. Okay, I hope this part is also clear for you. With this, we are going to step into the topic. Okay, I do have one more point to cover here. See why I have taken this. They will ask you the numbers here. Medical termination of pregnancy is nothing but intention or voluntary termination of pregnancy before full term of pregnancy is getting completed. Okay, so he says nearly 45 to 50 million MTPs are performed every year all over the world, and which accounts to 1/5 of the total number of conceived pregnancy in a year. Whether to accept legalized MTP or not is being debated upon by many countries due to emotional, ethical, and religious and social issues involved in it. But the government of India has legalized MTP in the year 1971 with some strict condition to avoid what is called as misuse. Such restrictions are all the more important to check indiscriminate and illegal female feticides which are reported to be high in India. So please go through the sentence again. Now with this, we will move on to the next topic, which is called sexually transmitted infection. Now see the words. What are the different types of words that is going to come across? Sexually transmitted infection, STIs. Okay. Now let's see what are those. Infectious or disease which is transmitted through sexual intercourse are collectively called sexually transmitted diseases, STI. Or you can use a word which is known as venereal disease, reproductive tract infection, RTI. Now we are going to come across different terms. Now we have to understand which are the sexually transmitted disease which is caused by bacteria, virus, are there any protozoans involved? So let us go across it. Now I want you to give importance to the name of the organisms. Okay. So the first part, viral. Okay, I'll explain. Take a screenshot because once I start writing, maybe it may not be very clear to you. Just take a screenshot before we start going through it. Okay, now genital herpes. The causative organism is herpes simplex virus. You need not know about this because common symptoms and characteristics we are going to refer to NCERT. I don't want you to give much importance to it. Next, genital warts. It's caused by human papilloma virus. Here I would like to add on one point because they are associated with the production of what is known as tumor. Name a virus which can cause cancer because you have a small subtopic which is called as cancer in human health and disease. There, if they ask you give an example of a virus, please don't forget human papilloma virus. Next, hepatitis B. Causative agent, hepatitis B virus. One of the worst kind of virus. The name repeats in other two topics also. As we do the topic, I'm going to explain about it. But don't forget, it is going to cause, has fibroid tissue formation in liver cirrhosis. And the infection spreads because of body fluid, body fluid secretion. So, hepatitis B. And you also have AIDS. AIDS, human immunodeficiency virus, where we are going to study in detail the HIV life cycle, where the person can have symptoms after 5 to 10 years also. Now, among this, there's one sentence which is given in your textbook, which among the viral diseases or the diseases cannot be cured, then I can say it is going to be genital herpes, followed with hepatitis B, and you have AIDS in it. So, make a note of that sentence which is present in your NCERT part. Next. Name the disease which is caused by what? Bacteria. So the whole set what we are going to go across is bacteria. Gonorrhea is caused by Neisseria gonorrhoeae. Okay. Now this sexually transmitted diseases where there are certain ulceration like wounds which can be present in the reproductive tract. There may be production of certain secretions, some green color discharge, and obviously when the baby is going to pass through the genital tract, the baby can also have this particular infection, especially gonorrhea can cause eye infection to the child. Okay, syphilis. The causative agent is Treponema pallidum. Okay, it occurs in 3 stages: primary, secondary, tertiary. Next, chlamydiasis. Chlamydia trichomatis. I don't want you to remember the other one. That's there. Only this 3 is present in your textbook. Please remember the causative agent. I hope you took a screenshot before I started to write on the chart. Next, you also have what is known as fungal. Okay, in fungal, candidiasis, Candida albicans. So please remember fungal, candidiasis. So one fungal, and you also have one protozoan, Trichomonas vaginalis. So, if there is a question, among the sexually transmitted disease, which is that sexually transmitted disease which produces a very bad smell, definitely you can go for protozoan, which is known as Trichomonas vaginalis, is a causative organism. Okay, so make sure you took a screenshot of all disease causing agent because we will be giving you certain question, which disease is caused by what kind of organism, whether it is bacteria, viruses, fungal or protozoan. Better to know the names also. Next, see the sentence of your NCERT. Some of the infections like hepatitis B, HIV can also be transmitted by sharing injection needles, surgical instrument, etc. with infected person. Now, drug abuse, when they are using a common syringe, okay, intravenously, that is one of the major cause for spreading of these kind of disease. Transfusion of blood or from the infected mother to that of the fetus. Except for hepatitis B, genital herpes and HIV infection, I already told you. Other diseases are completely curable if detected early and treated properly. Early symptoms of most of this are minor, which includes, see, this is the point that I want you to stick on to NCERT, not the extra symptoms which I showed you in the image. Includes itching, fluid discharge, slight pain, swelling in the genital region. Now, let us just check. Infected females may often be asymptomatic. They may not show any of the symptoms and hence may remain undetected for a long time. Absence or less significant symptoms in the early stage of infection and the social stigma attached to the STIs deter the infected person from going on for a timely detection to a proper treatment. If this proper treatment is not given, the curing of that particular disorder becomes very difficult. Okay. Next, this could lead to complication which include, now see what else is given. Pelvic inflammatory diseases, abortion, stillbirth, the baby is born dead after 20 weeks of pregnancy is called as stillbirth, ectopic pregnancy, infertility, and even cancer of reproductive tract. So please make sure you go through these particular points because you may have among the options. Done? Yes. Complications. Now under complication, which includes pelvic inflammatory disease, abortion, stillbirth, whatever we studied just now, ectopic pregnancy, infertility, or even cancer of reproductive tract. I put it separately because make sure you people go through this content. STIs are the major threat to a healthy society. Therefore, prevention or early detection and cure of this disease are given a prime consideration under reproductive healthcare programs. So, hope all the sentence so far what we have completed is clear for you. Now we come to the almost end of the topic where infertility comes. Now when infertility comes, I cannot blame one individual. Infertility can occur in male, infertility can occur in female also. Now let us understand what are those. Causes of infertility in female. Sometimes during a process which is called as genetic recombination, genes itself can cause problem where the female cannot get conceived. Or age factor. So we know that menstrual cycle starts from the stage of puberty. But the question is, when did this particular puberty occur? Maybe in the very young stage. So that means by the age a female gets married and decides to conceive, maybe there is no more follicular cells left behind to grow and develop. So after the age of 40 plus, conceiving rate is just 5%. So all this comes under what? Age. Now, if there is blockage in the fallopian tubes, so we know that the region where fertilization is going to occur is the fallopian tube. But the female was born with a blockage in the fallopian tube, or she suffered with some sort of infection which caused infection in the fallopian tube, so the sperm could not meet naturally, then again, the condition leads to infertility. Next, an ovulatory cycle. Now, hormones play an important role to regulate what is called as menstrual cycle. By chance, if there is irregular hormonal production, menstrual cycle becomes irregular. So if ova only is not there, definitely a sperm cannot bring about fertilization. Next, immunological infertilities. Now, sometimes the antibodies in females are produced in such a manner, it will just go destroy the ova itself. Such cases are also seen. Pathology of the uterus. So you know where is implantation taking place. That is said to be the uterus endometrium wall. Now let us say in the region of the womb, there is an extra growth of the uterine wall itself. So the place for the baby to develop is not there. So the internal structure of the uterus is completely different. So definitely the mother has to opt for surrogacy, and that comes under what is called as pathology of the uterus. So these are some of the examples which I can say causes infertility in females. In the same way, males also may have infertility. Okay. Now if you check sperm count, you studied NCERT, reproduction, human reproduction, and a sentence was given that in 2 to 3 ml of semen, there is 200 to 300 million sperms. If a sperm count goes below 120 million, such a condition is called as oligospermia. Okay, so that's the first one. Sperm count is less. Obstruction in genital tract. Just like the female fallopian tube, there was a blockage. Let us assume the blockage is present in vas deferens. Definitely the sperm cannot be discharged out. So semen is not going to contain the sperm at all. Now in case of structural defect, imagine a sperm which is not having a head. If it is not going to have a head at all, will it move towards a region where ova is present? Or when you studied middle piece, in middle piece mitochondria are concentrated which provide energy for the sperm motility. If that structure has very less mitochondria or some problem, obviously the sperm cannot move. Next, erectile dysfunction, impotency. So we studied there are three erectile tissue present in the male penis during the act of copulation. The rush of blood is going to bring about erection. Let's say erection is not going to occur, then definitely semen cannot be discharged. So that leads to impotency. Okay. Next, sperm motility. A sperm should have a motility and reach the sperm within a given period of time, making sure it fertilizes during a viable period itself. If not, there is no use. Okay, the sperm goes there and the ova is not viable. Even though it tries to fuse, nothing is going to happen. Followed with volume of semen. Volume of semen and volume of sperm we already studied. So I hope you understood what are the causes of infertility in both male and female. So how to overcome it? So let us say we have assisted reproductive technology. In assisted reproductive technology, definitely in your textbooks you would have come across in vitro fertilization, intracytoplasmic sperm injection, gamete intrafallopian transfer, zygote intrafallopian transfer, even the word surrogacy comes. Now let us understand all the concepts step by step. Starting with your textbook content. Read of this. Afterwards I shall explain. In vitro fertilization, IVF outside the body in almost similar condition that is in the body, followed with the second step which is called as embryo transfer is one such method. So this technique is known as test tube baby technique. Okay. So he says here, ova from the female, that is wife or the donor female, and the sperm from the husband or donor male are connected, are induced to form what is called as the zygote. Okay. Now I'll explain you with the chart. Okay, so that you can understand it. So let us say uterus has a septa where the mother cannot bear the child. So definitely she has to go for surrogacy. But she is able to ovulate. So now what we do? We give her a hormone which stimulates the production of more ova. So multiple ovulation or super ovulation can occur if a female is administrated with FSH hormone. So that's the first step. Now after that, the ova which is being produced in the ovary can be removed out by using what is called as catheter. So you see an instrument which is drawing out the ova which is going to be present inside and it is being collected. Okay. Now followed with that, in case of male individual, the donor or the husband will donate the sperms, that means donate the semen from which a sperm can be taken. And the sperm and ova, seen through the microscope, we are introducing a sperm directly into the ooplasm. So intracytoplasmic sperm injection. So that leads to formation of what? Zygote. Now what happened with the zygote? The zygote underwent a process which is called as cleavage. When it comes to the stage of blastocyst, we directly place it into the uterus, that is called as embryo transfer. But please understand, the so-called fusion took place in vitro in the lab. So thereby the technique is called as test tube baby technique. So Louise Joy Brown was the first baby girl to be born by this particular method. Okay. Now let us study other terms which is given in your NCERT. Transfer of ovum collected from the donor into the fallopian tube. If you transfer the sperm or the ova directly into the fallopian tube, that will be called as gamete intrafallopian transfer of another female who cannot produce one and can provide a suitable environment for fertilization. Further development is another method attempted. So you can see what is happening here. The path of the egg. So here we are going to place the sperm and the ova so that fertilization took place and they get implanted. So gamete intrafallopian transfer gift involves removal of egg from the female ovaries and placing them in the fallopian tube. So I hope this image tells you what exactly happens in the word which is known as GIFT. Next, we spoke about intracytoplasmic sperm injection in test tube baby technique. Intracytoplasmic sperm injection, ICSI, is another specialized procedure to form an embryo in the laboratory. So, what do you see in this image? So, ova is bigger than that of the sperm. So, you can see this particular ovum very clearly, which is held by a vacuum. Okay. Then you see a small needle which is being inserted where it is going to discharge the sperm inside. The sperm is entering the cytoplasm of the ovum. So thereby it is called as intracytoplasmic sperm injection, which is directly injected into the ovum. So I hope you understood what is called as ICSI. Next. Infertility cases, either due to inability of the male partner to inseminate the female or very low sperm count, the sentence is very important, direct question has come, in the ejaculates, could be corrected by artificial insemination technique. In this technique, semen is collected either from the husband or a healthy donor, artificially introduced into the vagina or in the uterus. If it is introduced into the uterus, it is called as intrauterine insemination. So, take the semen, directly inject it, then it is called as artificial insemination. Now just check what is given here. Ovulation is made by giving hormones. The sperm is collected from the donor or the husband and it is introduced directly into the uterus. Then it comes with respect to intrauterine insemination. So I hope till here you people actually understood the concept. This chapter is a small chapter and I want all our synopsis, okay, the summary is very short because in a short period of time before your competitive exam, if the videos become much lengthier, maybe you may lose interest, okay, and you require more time to concentrate on other subjects. So hopefully in today's class, we have completed the whole topic of reproductive health. But even though it is heard once, you people have to re-revise the topic. No shortcut. You have to read your NCERT. I keep saying every time in my class, read NCERT textbook because the questions will come directly from NCERT textbook. Now with this, in today's session, we are going to end up this chapter and upcoming session, we will be definitely solving number of questions. Before we solve those number of questions, I want you people to be well prepared so that before I could go mark the answer, you should be ready with your answer. Now with this, I'm going to wind up the class. Until then, keep practicing. Make sure you stay healthy. So we're going to meet up in the upcoming class. Take care and bye for now.